Hey there, Beverly Hills 90210 fans. It's now time to dive deep into an episode-by-episode, character-by-character, song-by-song account of the making of your favorite zip code. With your host, Charles Rosen.
I sit in a chair. It's one of Sandy's antiques. The whole thing breaks.
Larry Mollin.
He shouldn't be even in this show. I hope they're going to kill him, and they did.
Pete Ferriero.
Up my TV crush is Claire Arnold. So, I mean, she has to come on the show at this point.
And representing the fans, Lily Amarim.
Brian, I love you. I have dreamt about you.
Along with many special guests. And your questions. So sit back and relax because it's like totally time for the Beverly Hills 90210 show.
Hey, well, here we are again. And look who is with us. Emma Caulfield Ford. How are you? It is so good to see you.
It's so good to see you guys. So weird.
You know, our stalking pays off, Peter. Yeah,
a little bit, yeah. Let me ask you, how has quarantine been for you? You're still posting amazing videos on Instagram, by the way. I just saw your Is It Monday Again video on Instagram. I thought that was hilarious. I could not stop laughing at that. But how has this all been going for you, being and living in this quarantine state?
I mean, it's weird. I'm actually out of probably all the main group of friends that I have. I've definitely had my moments of I'm gonna go totally postal. I can't do this. Like what? Because I have a 4-year-old and I'm homeschooling, and it's like what? And but I have like this overwhelming sense of satisfaction from doing it too. Like, I've been wondering, like, of all these months of isolation, especially in the first 3 months, or like you just like total lockdown, like what? And I thought if I didn't have this, if I wasn't, because I immediately just said, well, I've got to be a teacher now.
Yeah.
We've always been very hands-on with her anyway, but like, well, there's no 3 days a week. There's no help. It's just me. I had to put that hat on and go, okay, well, I'm in charge of this now. That was incredibly beneficial to me.
That's great.
Because I had something so focused. It just wasn't about me and I can't see my friends or I can't, it's all about you. So it really helped me mentally, I think. I still had breakdowns, but it's especially been kind of fun.
Nice. It is kind of fun. Quarantining is kind of fun, right? Yeah. How about for you, Larry and Jessica? We haven't seen you guys. We saw you guys on Wednesday.
We had the Gabrielle Cartieris thing, which was a lovely time to reminisce and see some stuff and really go over that. But other than that, it's been a busy, wonderful week. And I get to watch, these shows again in season 6 and see all the interesting work we did and Emma did and think about, that relationship with her and Brandon. And it was pretty interesting.
Well, she had a relationship, and we're going to talk about the relationship with her and Brandon, but she also had a relationship on the show with somebody else, I believe, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And that's Carl Evans, who's here.
What?
How's it going?
Yeah.
It's John.
How are you doing?
Good. Hi.
Hi. I'm having a little difficulty hearing everybody. Can you hear me all right?
We hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. My earbuds aren't working that well.
Yeah, Melanie, by the way,
there we go. That's better.
Lily this week, was having some earbud issues as well. She just pulled them right out, and then she was good again. But yeah,
you know what? I can hear you now. It's good.
All right, very cool. Well, it's so good to have you here, man. How's quarantine been for you? I'm curious.
It's been pretty interesting. I think we're all challenged here at this moment, but I'm a motorcycle instructor for like 12 years. It's a passion of mine. And I've been very lucky that right as the quarantine started, I was working at BMW and I started selling motorcycles, and they actually stayed open for most of the time. So I'm actually doing that to break up the craziness in between waiting for things to get back to normal.
Yeah.
Wow.
Cool. All right, let's get into some of this. Emma, I want to ask you first. I mean, before you got on to 90210, did you watch it? Did you know what?
Oh my God. Kidding. I'm such a fan. I was actually just okay. Wait, you have another. You have like a 2-parter. I'm sorry. Was that
no?
A 2-parter?
That's it. That was the first part. Go ahead. Yeah.
I was just actually, because I just rewatched them all, or watched the ones you specifically told me to watch. And I totally forgotten about this, but I remembered my audition for the show, and I was nervous. I was nervous, but I was like, okay, I'd already worked for Aaron once on this little guest star on the show that he had. It was like lasted 2 seconds. So it's like, okay, well, he likes me enough to like have me come back and do something even bigger. So it's like, okay, but I was still really nervous. And I did something, I don't remember what the scene was or whatever. And I think I was told to go wait out in the hall. And I was there for like not even a sec, like 2 seconds. And Jay walked out, Priestley. And I was like, I literally, like, I remember like it was yesterday. I was like, were you in there the whole time? He's like, yeah. I'm like, oh my God. Hi. Okay. Like, I was just like, oh, this isn't happening to me. Like, I've got such a crush on you. I can't even handle it. Like, I get hot thinking about it. I was like, oh my God. Oh my God. And, you know, he's like, you're doing great. So do something or whatever. I was like, okay. And you know, went back and whatever, got the job or whatever. But I just thought I totally ruined my chances because I just acted like how every girl acted, how I would have acted if I like saw him, like if I was waiting tables and he came in, I would be like, oh my God.
And girl during your audition. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Hey, it's Jason's birthday. It's Jason's birthday today.
It is. It's
Yeah.
Jason's birthday.
Yes.
Hey, Emma, do you remember the scene? Were you doing a scene from the first episode? Probably were, I guess, because Jason was directing that episode, so it would make sense that he would be in the room there. And that was it in Aaron's office or was it in Paul's office? Do you remember?
Paul.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We feel that every week. I mean, the big loss of him. He was
Paul Wagner, you guys are talking about, right? For the fans who don't know,
there's a bunch of folks who are here, but that makes sense because Jason did that first show, and so probably that first episode. I was thinking that first episode, and it was interesting. I mean, we wanted, and Jessica articulated this well in a couple of weeks ago. We were really looking for the Spencer Tracy, Kate Hepburn kind of desk set thing, and that was kind of the instructions there. And watching it again, I mean, she just undresses him. She doesn't buy any bullshit from him. She had heard about him. We never had a character treat him this way.
Never.
It's just really, and obviously, I felt good about it because Jason was directing, so he allowed it. Obviously, we didn't just spring it on him. He must have bought it.
Yeah.
It was. I don't know whether we knew when we wrote it that he was going to be directing it, because that must have been very surprising and weird for you to have to deal with him. As it was enough that you had to deal with your crush as your co-star, but also your director. I mean, it was really diving into the deep end.
I was so on the deep end. I wasn't so over my head. I was just like, I mean, I really hadn't done hardly any work. I was just like figuring it out. I'm like, I'm still trying to figure out like, what the fuck? 101 goes north, south, east, and west. What's going on? I am lost like all the time. I'm like, what? You know, and I just, and then when I got to work and then I met Luke and and he immediately like took me under his wings and made me laugh. And I was also like, oh, that's Luke Perry. Like, oh my God, like just this, like I can't. And so, I just have a lot of memories of me being like, just get through your lines. Just don't mess up. Just memorize them, do it. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm like really hot for you. God, what's going on? And I think, I don't know. It definitely translated after rewatching it. Like, oh, girl, like I'm uncomfortable for myself. Like you had such a crush on him. I was like, I'm in third person because it's that uncomfortable. I'm like, oh boy, it's a crush on you.
Well, you waited 3 episodes to sleep with him, which was good. That was a lot. 3 episodes for any guy is a lot.
Yeah.
3 days.
You don't sleep on the first episode.
You made it look easy, which was, and there was no cringe factor in watching this all these years later. You sold what we wanted you to sell. I mean, this adorable banter between two smart people who were also clearly hot for each other. It worked great. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you. He made me laugh constantly. I mean, all I did was laugh. I don't know how. There were so many scenes I was watching. It was like, oh, he improv that. I remember that, and I laugh because I'm just like, she's totally into him, and I'm totally into him.
And then we created another triangle. I mean, we created the triangle and brought in a really good adversary.
So funny, you know.
I'm curious to somebody asked where Chuck is. He wasn't in season 6. He left, so he wouldn't be here this week.
He's never seen these episodes.
He's never seen the episodes.
Yeah.
I think he would be very proud of us that we did an abortion story with a main character.
Yeah, I want to get to that.
Man,
I don't even know.
Let's get to that.
Yeah. Before we get to that, I want to ask you guys. Andrea and Brandon had a very similar first meeting. That they were at the newspaper. There's a lot of banter. Andrea sort of is dismissive to Brandon. It's different. They're kids. And Susan sort of does the same thing. Was that a callback, or was that just like the luck of the draw that you just happened to write that?
I don't think it was a callback. I mean, I wouldn't have realized that John Eisendraft, who was the first draft on that, didn't realize it. You know, only Jessica would have. And I just think it just, in a way, that's what Brandon was attracted to. I mean,
I think that we were trying to move away from politics for him. We put him back into a familiar environment. We knew we were going to have a woman. So it was supposed to feel familiar. It was supposed to feel like he was back where he belonged. And because we played Andrea as friend, and we got rid of their sexual chemistry, in the early episodes, which we've been revisiting in the last few weeks, we, knowing that this one was actually going to be allowed to flourish and get hot, meant that we were revisiting. It was funny for us. I think we said that it was going to be Hepburn Tracy, and Darren Star, in creating Brandon and Andrea, must have said that to himself at that time. So I'm thinking it was not a callback to early episodes. It was a callback to
a familiar place, maybe.
Yeah.
So you get into the room, Emma, and you're starting to work with all these people. It's not just them, right? It's not just Jason, it's Luke. It's now you're introduced to Kelly or Jenny and Tori and the whole gang, right? How are you? Is that challenging to fit in because you're in their world now? You're playing in that field.
Yeah. Well, I've never even said this publicly, so this is fun. But my first meeting with Luke, in the hallways there on wherever we were shooting, Van Nuys, I don't know, those old
Van Nuys, yeah.
Cool.
Calvert Street.
Yeah, he threw his arm around me in the hallway and he goes, "So how are the bitches treating you?"
Wow.
That's what he said to Kathleen too.
Yeah.
Yeah. He said that to Kathleen too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Welcome to 90210. Yeah.
I'm like, kind of, he's like, yeah. He's like, it's just, welcome to the show. And I'm like, okay. So that kind of said it all, really.
Yeah.
But Tori was always really nice to me. Tori was always really cool, and I just remember I remember thinking like how hard it must be for you because everyone wants you to fail. The public opinion is like, oh, whatever.
Aaron's daughter.
Yeah, Aaron's daughter, and you got it because you're his daughter, and you must be, you must always be up here all the time. Otherwise, it's just opening up a door for criticism. And I thought that sucks to be in that position all the time.
Yeah.
And she never like let that show. She was always very sweet, and I remember vividly her having like a 5-alarm migraine, and having gotten them, I'm like, oh, oh, those are just, you can't even function. I don't know how she did it. She was throwing up in the trash bins, and she would just turn it on, and then she'd go back to being completely sick. And she just worked through everything. She knew her lines like that. She was just kind and gracious, always. And because, you know, my friends would be like, so, you know, like, who's nice to you? You know, with Tori. I'm like, no, Tori's actually really nice to me. Yeah. And I would just kind of let it trail off.
Which is what you just kind of did. Yeah. Yeah.
There was always a mean girl aspect to the show.
Yeah.
Do what?
There was always a mean girl aspect to the set.
Definitely.
Actually, season 6 was not a healthy year for Tori, as I remember. I'm looking at the episodes now.
Well, yeah, I mean,
her acting was great, but I don't think her
was a migraine, so I was like, oh God, you know. I just remember her always being very nice, and Kathleen was actually nice to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We love her here. You know, we would love to have her on the show. That's our campaign every week. Well, let me show you this. I have some.
He has a crush on her.
I do have a little bit of a crush. For sure.
Funny story. The guards used to mistake us for one another at times.
Oh,
really? Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, we do? Like, and I guess actually looking back on it, I'm like, oh, I can see a little like resemblance.
A little bit, for sure.
When my hair.
My other crush is Susan Keats, so that fits the bill.
What?
All right, let me show you this clip here. This is the.
I just thought of something that I like about you.
Yeah? What's that?
Good lips. Great lips.
Well, there you go. How about that? Kissing Jason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that was just yeah. Like, oh God. I'm trying to make out with you. Oh my God. This is
a lot of kissing.
But how much
we had signs in the office, kissing is good.
How much of this did you know in advance of what you would be doing week to week with Susan Keats? Did you know, like, I'm going to be in a relationship with him? Did you know, like, I'm going to eventually have an abortion, all this? Or are you just finding out as you're getting the scripts?
God, that was so long ago. I don't think I remember. I mean, it was definitely like you're
she wouldn't have known.
You're recurring. You're a foil love interest for Jay. That's the extent of it. And I think if I remember, it was 6 episodes initially, and then I'm pretty sure that's right. And then I stayed for the year, and then I was, of course, like soul crushed. Like, you're not coming back. I'm like,
oh, she took the job. She took the job.
To break up.
Well, we'll definitely get to that. But so here you are, and now you're kissing your crush.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, hot.
The fans wanted to know if he was a good kisser, so I think we have our answer now.
Oh, come on, can't you tell?
Right?
It comes off of it now. Like, he knows exactly what he's doing. Yeah.
Oh.
Now, eventually,
no
we do this. Well, happy birthday to you, Jason Priestley.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, happy birthday.
Well, we
I worked with him twice. I got to work with him again.
Yeah, well, here, let me show you this. This is what he said about working with you. I think I pulled that somewhere. Hang on.
Oh.
No, it was good. It was all good. Wait, I actually don't have it.
Oh.
He said nice things.
He did. He said you were just so. Oh wait, hang on. Maybe I do. Yes, here we go. What was it like working with Emma? And then I'm going somewhere with that. So I'm just curious what it was like working with Emma.
Emma was lovely. Emma's super sweet, super cool, very talented. Emma's awesome.
Cool.
I did a movie later on in my career with her and
Bradley Cooper.
We had a great time.
So there you go. He had a great time working with you. So feelings mutual. Yes. Then there's this episode. I think we gave you the Gypsy episode.
Yeah. How funny that was. I was watching that. I made myself laugh. I was like, oh.
That's funny.
Larry, what is the inspiration for this particular?
Well, Halloween, we have to, again, we were following the calendar, so we're going to end up doing a Halloween episode. And I just think, we had done a number of Halloween episodes. So, you got to pull out the love potion, you got to pull out some of the bag of tricks.
We'd never had a gypsy before.
Never had a gypsy.
Yes.
And I love the cramps, as you know. So I was looking for a place to put the cramps in. So that was going to fit in. And really, it started setting up the Jonathan stuff in this episode too, but which really is interesting because we actually set up a triangle the other way for Jason, and it really played out tough. I mean, those episodes are good, and thank you, Carl. Really revisiting your work was really interesting. You got under his skin big time. As we get into Turn Back the Clock, which just blew it away, I thought.
Yeah.
But this one was so much fun because it's always a good thing because Molly Campbell would do the costumes and everyone gets a chance. So I guess the Pocahontas thing didn't play too well probably today. You probably would get booted out of the TV world for that, but it was cute at the time, I think.
I think the transgender stuff played the worst.
I've spoken to Monica.
Saw that. Like, oh.
Yeah.
That doesn't work now. Yeah. It might not have worked then either, by the way. Hey, this is where we start talking about Jonathan. I'm curious to you guys, Larry and Jessica. Do you know it's going to be Carl at that point, or are you just developing this?
No,
we didn't know.
We just knew there was going to be the other guy, and she had some secrets, and it was going to really make Jason sweat a bit and really work for this relationship, and it succeeded. Yeah,
definitely. Carl, when do you get into the mix of this whole thing, and what is your audition process like?
Well, I auditioned many times for Aaron Spelling, and this was another audition that happened. I actually knew Luke and Ian way before 902 even happened. We were all living in New York City and auditioning, and I'd see them periodically. I actually tested for a daytime show with Luke and Ian, and Luke got it. And then Ian got actually Guiding Light. Then I got booked on Guiding Light. Then he left that show, and then we reconnected actually on 90210. And how my audition was, it was, it was when you hear about getting an audition for a show like this, you get really excited. You obviously want to do it. I had auditioned several times, and this is the first time I got booked, and it was super exciting. When I found out I got it, I was like, yes, this is like a huge show, awesome. Everything was so great about it that I knew people that were already on the show. I'd met Tori, and prior to that, actually Jason as well, because we would periodically get together with Ian, and groups of us would go out, and I knew them. So when I worked, it was kind of a nice transition because I'd already actually knew most of the people, came by the set, hung out and stuff. So that was really kind of a cool transition for me versus, Leslie had the whole thing where she wasn't really sure, didn't know too many people. And I was lucky because when Luke put his arm around me, he was like, hey, good to see you again. I was like, yeah, good to see you too. And now we get to work together, which was really, really cool.
Yeah.
Who's Leslie?
Yeah,
well, I'm sorry.
Your name says Leslie. I think he's referring to you. Yeah.
Over and over we hear the story about
My
Luke
bad.
taking in every guest star. It's amazing to hear these stories. I mean, he really was the ambassador for the show, and it's just such a heartwarming thing to hear.
Yeah.
Love him. He's
Well, I wanted to ask you, and I had to save for later, but what was Luke like for you, Emma? I almost just called you Leslie. Sorry.
No, I did it, and I apologize. So you can do it because I already
I'm sorry.
messed that up. Sorry.
What was Luke like?
everything anybody ever thought he was like. I mean, he did not have a bad bone in his body. He was just the kindest, most gracious, humble, funny. Just he was the best. He was absolutely the best. I absolutely adored him. I don't think he had any idea how much I adored him. For all the years later, when I hadn't seen him in forever, and I just always like, oh, Luke, huh?
Yeah.
And that just, God, what a good, it's so nice to know that there's just phenomenal human beings out there, and the world is sadly worse off for him not being around.
one of the things that happens in this through the season 6 is that Luke leaves the show. You came into the show when a lot of things were transitioning for the show. Are you aware of that? That like Luke is leaving, they just had Andrea left, the Walsh, the parents left. There's like a lot of turnover happening this particular season. How much is that playing in behind the scenes for you at all, if anything?
I don't remember it being a thing. I think I was just so invested in selling it and being good. I was given the biggest opportunity at that point in my very, very new career. So I was like, I just want to get it right. I was sad to have Luke go. I don't remember if I knew straight away he was leaving or if that was something I'm pretty sure I must have, because come showing up at work, it was like, oh yeah, you're not, but I don't remember having those conversations or whatever. I'm positive I would have been very sad to see him go, because I have very vivid memories of him playing like this Nerf gun, like a rocket launcher. Like every time during break or whatever, he would go and try to shoot literally like cannons into some, I don't know, like an empty parking lot or I don't know. He was just well, just like he's just like this. And so I'm sure I was not happy about him going. I knew that my stuff was obviously very separate. It was like a new chapter. Yeah. Same characters, new chapter, a kind of vibe. I didn't know how long I was staying. I didn't know I was going. I mean, once I was past 6 episodes, like, oh, I'm staying a while, but I didn't know what that meant. And I didn't really.
How do you find something like that? Does someone tell you, hey, we're keeping you on, or they just keep sending you work?
No, we had to have booked her after that because we wouldn't have been writing for her. It would have been it could have been counterproductive. So we would have, her agent would have, they would have reached out to her agent and made a deal for the rest of the season, because she did 30 episodes that year.
Back when there was 30 episodes.
We did 32.
32.
I don't even know how we
did 4 years in a row.
And it was really important to have a big cast when we were doing so many episodes, because we had to split the stories. So that's why you don't see a lot of crossover with everybody, and it's very challenging.
Well, I mean, were you guys still doing double ups at this point, Larry?
Of course.
Yeah.
What is that like for actors to be like, okay, I'm here today doing this? What episode is this? Like, is that challenging at all, Emma?
I don't remember it being confusing. I just remember it being like, right. It's like you put your work hat on and you're just you're just in work. You're like, okay, I'm not going to see anybody. I'm not going to talk. You're just like there all day, and that's your life. And thank God I was working. My main person was this person I just absolutely adored. So, I was just having a lot of fun. I don't remember going, God, I just want to go home. Like, it wasn't like that. I was a baby on this big show, and I loved my co-star. I was like, this is so great. Like, all jobs should be like this. We're not. Yes. Like, not as fun. So yeah, I hadn't worked much, so I didn't know. It was like, is double ups the thing? Like, does everybody double up?
Everybody does double ups, right? Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, nobody did.
Right.
And for the actors, it was the least challenging for the actors, because they could only be in one place at one time. For the writers, we had to be in 3 episodes at once. The episode that we were prepping, well, 4 really. The episode we were writing, the episode we were prepping, the episode we were shooting, and the episode we were posting. So that's a lot to keep in your head.
Right. I can imagine. Yeah,
Whereas,
actors get a trailer. You're like,
and you do your story.
You worked really hard today. Oh.
Then one of the other episodes we sent you was this earthquake weather. That was also fun. Larry, what is the inspiration behind this earthquake weather episode?
Well, it was sweeps, so we needed something big to promote. So, and again, we tried to really reflect LA, and, it never, you totally could, you can earn doing an earthquake. You're allowed one earthquake show. And we decided to grab it and use it to really.
We were
bond,
lucky it hadn't been done. In 6
exactly.
years.
I mean, it's a thank God. You want to get everything, and it was a chance really to bond Brandon and Susan Keats in a way, that they would never forget. Delivering a baby in an elevator during an earthquake, and
That was so
and also all the character stories would play out through that too. Plus, we got to see Emma in a bikini. I saw. Which I hadn't remembered that. Thank you for doing that. You look great.
Yeah. What do you remember about that?
being terrified. I was like, again, new actor, San Diego, like super conservative. I'm like, what? I'm like, okay. And now I'm like kind of naked in front of you. I'm like, oh God. And it was a lot of internal Emma just having trouble dealing with Emma. Like, it wasn't Susan that I had trouble with. I don't remember having trouble
No,
with
it
Emma.
never comes out at all. All this anxiety, your performance is just so dead on and she's so controlled. I mean, you basically, you're someone that Brandon looks up to. I mean,
there's been so many comments I want to say real quick, and I was going to get to this later, but there's been so many comments about Brandon and Susan should have wound up together. That Susan Keats was the one.
Does somebody else think that besides me?
I do too. Yeah, I think that's a common theme amongst people other than the Kelly fans.
Yes, they're vocal, those Kelly fans.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
I'm not mean about you. Why do you have to be mean about me? Stop being so mean.
She took the job.
Can I swear?
Yeah, you can swear. It's cool. It's all legal here. No, I'm just curious though. Like when you see that some of that pop up about like Susan and Brandon should have been together, that obviously speaks to how great of an actor you are. You brought so much.
No. This is not about me being a great actor. Jason and I just managed. We just really got along. Like we didn't have to fake getting along. Like I genuinely, separate from the predate, like Jason Priestley. Like I just instantly liked him as a human. Like he's still one of the best people I've met. My favorite person to work with as a director. He was like, knew everything. He didn't excessively shoot. He didn't edit in his head and not talk to you about what he was doing. He was definitely an actor director, or an actor's director. So I always felt very comfortable and myself around him. And he just always had my back. He just, so, what was my point?
Well, I was saying that that speaks to your acting.
I was like, no. That is just, I think, we really worked well together.
Well, hold up. I want to play this clip.
Written well, and she was a really fun character, and very much I hadn't really seen. I hadn't seen much like that. It's such a bold, and now feminist. Let's put it in the feminist box. Feminist. I'm going to say feminist. I'm going to be feminist. It's like in your face feminist. And I was noticing that now as opposed to like, oh, well, you take it for granted that that's what, like, oh, well, that's so now. And I'm like, yeah, but it wasn't now then.
Correct.
So it's credit to the show and the writers and everybody to be, just hate this person who was awesome, who was definitely, progressive. Like, I don't know what she just was like, so there, present and very forward. She's very, very tomorrow, And
California leads the way.
Right now. What? I'm sorry?
I'm saying California always is ahead of the curve. We've been seeing this a lot, that a lot of the things, even though they were made 25 years ago, still kind of speak to today in a lot of ways. And it feels pretty good that way.
Well,
her ambition is what really stood out to me, which, that's what, she had the ambition that Brandon ultimately didn't really have. I mean, she understood what it took to succeed, and he still had too much heart.
Well, listen, Michael Lang, the director, had some really beautiful things to say about you as an actor. So I want to play that for you.
Good boy.
We tried to write this, because we're old people, like Spencer Tracy and Katharine Hepburn, kind of like the Death Set thing, the two of them working together, two equals.
Yeah.
And in this episode, she totally screws him. It's just so fantastic.
She was really good to work. I mean, really good to work with. And the fun thing about it was, I think her character challenged Jason's character, and she also challenged Jason. So it was kind of an interesting relationship, more so than, the others all were so used to working together. And so I think when she came along, because she was not that different from the character that she played. So, a very strong woman, had opinions, very professional. And I think, like I said, she challenged Jason as an actor to be his best self.
Thoughts?
There you go.
Oh, nice.
Sure. Well, God, that's really nice to know. I don't know what to say to that.
Well,
you fooled another director. You fooled another guy.
Feel like you're close to Susan Keats? Are you similar to who she was?
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, but like, again, so much. I was just, I think, overcome by when watching those scenes with him, and it brought a lot of memories back. And when they break up, it really was like this breakup. Like I had spent all day, every day, for a year with this person, investing in this relationship. And Jay and I, obviously we spent all the time, and we liked one another a lot. So it was we were friends, since we could shoot the shit and we could just be honest with each other about all kinds of things. So that relationship was super solid, and then it's just gone, So when watching it, observing it as, okay, how did I do as Susan? I can't really separate myself too much, because I feel like my own personal stake was in it. Like, as a human, I'm like, I love this human so much. Like, I love Jay, like as a person, as a soul. I'm like, I just love you. So I'm watching me be this person, loving him, but also just like, I love him. So right. I don't, do you know what I mean?
I do know what you mean. Yeah.
Was Susan like me? I'm like, I don't know how much, I don't know my reactions to him, her reactions to him. I don't know that they would have been dissimilar. I just feel like I was just so like in it with him all the time. I was just like, you're so funny. Oh, you really know how to kiss. Okay, kiss me again. It was just this very pure thing. And I have, when he, we'd have to get into stuff or things that weren't based on necessarily us having great chemistry. It was just more like, we need to be about Susan, and Susan's going to talk about some stuff that matters to Susan, like the abortion or whatever.
Yeah, we're getting
there. I separate myself and go, oh, okay, how did I do? Like, how can I, if I were to rate myself, like how would I respond? How, that kind of stuff. Like when you're just you're like, we have this in common, and then you verge off. That's when I start paying attention.
We're going to get to some of that.
I'm just so focused on her being that relationship. I just remember me and Jay always being together. So that's my association with Susan. So,
Dawn M. Long says she's so chill for real, meaning you. Yeah. Thank you, Dawn, for that. All right. Now let's talk about Turn Back the Clock, because this is where we meet Jonathan, right? There's this other thing. This is such an interesting episode too, because it's backwards, and it's like it's a very interesting way of telling a story. Larry, I don't know. Have we ever talked about this episode? I mean, maybe a little bit.
We did. We just saw the float in the Rose Bowl. We did the
we talked about the Rose Parade.
Yeah, but the Rose Parade. But we didn't. I hadn't watched the whole episode. I wound up watching the whole episode.
So why did we do this though? This
again, that's what the calendar was telling us, and what better day to kind of get to is everyone New Year's Eve is such a loaded night, and it never goes right for people, And so you had a chance to really have things
true.
just go totally wrong.
Yeah.
You know, Brandon has this great night plan with Susan, and Jonathan shows up, and he's there for a good reason. He wants her. He declares freaking war on Brandon after flattering him. It's so fantastic. And then they have a kiss off. I mean, there's some cool stuff that goes on here. And he just really, I mean, Jay let himself get into this storyline big time as Brandon. And I think it really paid off. I mean, he really had to declare his feelings for Susan.
Jessica, you were going to say something.
I was just going to say we were very unusual on television at that time because we were so tied to the calendar. And because we weren't airing an episode on New Year's Eve, turning back the clock was the way we could tell it. We could tell New Year's by coming back.
Right.
Claiming it, saying, okay, here we are. Now we're going to look back at it. So I thought it was great, Larry. You did a great job.
Thank you. I really liked it. I remember at the time not being happy with director, but you know, it looks all right. You know, by the time it all got knocked together, it was pretty good. And
who directed that one?
Oh, great.
A guy named Graham Lynch, a Canadian. You can tell he's Canadian because in the VIP section he has a Canadian flag. They're all sitting in the Canadian section.
I remember that.
I don't remember the problems I have, but yeah, God bless him, whatever. At the time, I wasn't very happy, but it came out really good. And, you know, and I think we're actually going to have Cameron Bancroft on next week. We're doing a
pre-recorded bonus episode.
We get to kind of go through that again from his point of view. But this one really says a lot about the Brandon Susan relationship, and also, you know, the Jonathan. We start laying this secret, which then lays over everything till Nancy's choice. I mean, really, we know something's between them. We don't know what this bond is, and it's really laid out really well, and it pays off.
I'm curious, Emma, how do you remember meeting Carl, and this is going to be Jonathan?
Yeah.
Yeah, to kiss him right away.
Was it right away? No, is that the first thing we did?
I think you kissed in this. You definitely kissed it for New Year's. Yeah. I think, you know.
Yeah.
Brandon takes offense at it. You kind of say that's enough.
Yeah, he wasn't real happy about it.
I think I remember thinking you were very nice, and I was like, wait a minute. I don't want to be with you. No.
I know what you mean.
No, I mean, like, as character, because like I'm in it now, and I'm like, I'm thinking as a character, I'm like, wait a minute. Is Susan gonna do something bad? I don't want to do something bad. I'm in love with this dude. What's happening? And I know I'm in love with you too. You know, it was all very weird. I felt very like attached to it, like. Cool. I'm like, hi, nice to meet you. I'm like, wait a minute, are we like gonna hook up? Are we like, what's happening? I felt very territorial of like
you actually definitely were like that. I mean, you were awesome because you were so nice, and I wanted to work on the lines. You were super nice, and super cool. But I wanted to run the lines and kind of get it going and get into it. And you were so great and gracious about that. Well, you definitely had that. All right, I got a man. So what are you doing here the whole time? So it worked. It totally worked. I felt it. I felt it. It was good.
Go ahead, Jessica.
It helped.
The main cast gets the privilege of having a producer sit with them and talk them through their stories. And I am pretty sure that nobody sat with you, Emma, and said, listen, we're going to tell you what your character is going to go through. So the fact that you were flying blind and really responding just in the moment to what you thought your character was feeling is a tribute to you and your very young, the very young Emma who managed to play it just right. And it must be so confusing when you get pages and suddenly you're reading about some past that you didn't know anything about, nobody warned you about.
At what? Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I think we gave her a dead sister too a couple episodes before.
Wait a minute.
Controlling
and
family.
Then we use that for the abortion. That's part of a trigger for why she gets the abortion or something.
Yeah. Definitely cool. None of that went into any prep work. I didn't even bother thinking that would have been. And honestly, I'm not even so sure that I did a whole lot of prep work. I'm trying to actually remember it again because I was just going off pure like survival mode. You know, like I just want to do well. We get along fantastic. can't date him. You got a crush. Let it go. Like he's with someone. So are you? Like just be. So I don't. Just wish I could remember like what my actual.
Also, you have to understand from the writer-producer point of view, our job is to keep a television series on the air. This is now season 6 and it's done very well. And now the executive producer who has guided it for 5 years is gone. And it's now been dumped in our laps and we just are not supposed to fuck it up. And part of the challenge with an ensemble show is people leave, and bringing in new people that have the weight to make the audience care about them is our challenge as writers, and then your challenge as an actor. And the fact that you pulled that off, and that people even today are saying Brandon should have married her, is really just great. I mean, one of the successes of this series was that people, we did survive the departures of the original cast. Definitely. But we only survived them because we created fun story for the newcomers, and actors who are as talented as you guys came and were embraced by the fans, not just didn't really matter whether the cast embraced you. It mattered that the fans embraced you. It mattered to you. But it mattered to us.
It's impressive though, because there are definitely times in these episodes where Emma and Carl get a lot of screen time together without the main cast being even there. There's no Brandon. It's like just the two of them. So I think that speaks to what they were delivering with the series, right, Jessica?
Yeah, well, it speaks to that Emma, what Emma managed to do was in a very short time, she felt like part of the community. So we could leave her alone on screen because you mattered. You were a big shot. Nobody was going to
fire me.
Isn't that sad?
No, you had to serve the show.
I love this.
It's never a decision. It's never a decision taken lightly. But when your job is to be the romantic foil, and we know that we can't keep the romance alive, that's what happens. And at least
you can always go to another guy, or it just. If Jessica and I would have stayed on, we might have brought you back, or brought Brandon into Washington after graduation. He might have gone to Washington and hooked up with you again, and.
That's very, very, very true.
We wouldn't have forgotten it, that's for sure.
But okay, real quick.
I always knew Kelly was Endgame. I was like, ugh.
I was going to add. That's exactly what I was going to add.
Endgame. Didn't they get married and divorced? And didn't she go off with?
They never.
I don't know. We were gone by then.
We don't know. It's just fan fiction. It's fan fiction.
No. But Brandon and Kelly never wound up getting married. They stopped getting married because they were about to get married. They decided not to get married.
Okay.
But was that the reason for you guys to not pursue it? Were you guys saying, okay, we got to move back to Brandon and Kelly?
At the time, this was season 6. Yes, I mean that was going to happen. Yeah, I think we knew that was going to happen. They was going to go back toward that. Was the last year of college.
We knew that at the end of the season, since that's how the episode ended.
Right.
But
Brandon and Kelly.
I'm not sure when we made that decision, or when with Aaron.
I was going to say Aaron would have had a hand in what to do with that.
Making those decisions.
But at that point, I think that was the episode I wrote with Steve Wasserman, and we were going back to Kelly. Yeah, we kind of just
the things that you learned in quarantine, Emma. Right?
It was funny for me watching this episode because Larry wrote it with Steve, and I had nothing to do with it at all. I'm watching the 2-parter, and I get to the end, right? Or I think it's the end, and then I look, and there's 14 minutes left. And I think, what could possibly happen now? There were so many endings in that episode. And it was so funny to me because each episode, each storyline had to not only wrap up, but launch where we were going to be going in the next season. And so it was like, this was the.
Yeah, I mean, that's always the job of the season end. But yeah, we even have Nat and Joni are having a baby.
Throw that into the pile.
50-year-old woman's having a baby,
All right, Lori's asking this question for Carl. I'm gonna let it plop up. Hey, let's find out who Carl was crushing on in the cast. I don't normally let questions go through like that, but we got you here, Carl. So,
wow.
How could you not say Emma?
Well, that was definitely legit. But boy, was she good at showing me it wasn't happening. Off camera. So I was like, all right, so that's not going to work. Now what?
Yeah.
Actually, no, that was definitely someone that I was very, how do you put it, professionally attracted to because of her work and who she was. Wasn't on for very long, so I didn't get to know you as well as I would have liked to.
I would have been much nicer to you, I think.
Well, if you knew,
I mean, I would have been more. I could have been like chummy and whatever if I wasn't in like.
I get it.
I gotta protect my relationship.
You were feeling it, and I could tell, and it helped. It helped me, with what we were doing in the scene, so it worked great.
Stone cold bitch girl, and I've been wanting to tell you now forever. They're like.
Hey, where were you living then? Where were you living then, Emma, when you were a young actress? Where were you living?
Well, God, where haven't I lived? I've moved more times. I have a problem. Like I bought my house. Like whether I've owned it or rented it, I'm like, time to move. So at that time, I think I lived 2 different places in that 1 year. I think I was in Hollywood and then Studio City.
Yeah, easier to get to the studio.
Carl,
Studio City, definitely.
You get to do this stuff. People are asking about the stuff that you got to do with Jason. You had Larry even referenced it before, these scenes with Jason. What was it like playing off of Jason in this sort of triangle?
It was great. I mean, Jason's a terrific actor, and he gives a lot. And he didn't like that I was there, and he was really sticking up for what he wanted. And he made it real clear too in his actions. Of course, when we said cut, we would joke around, but he was great. I had a great time. I mean, I remember that first scene where I confront him at the bar, and I tell him that things are going to be, that's it. Mm-hmm. things are going to change, and he's got some problems, and I'm going to make those problems for him. I thought that was really great, and he's very giving. And terrific. And since I knew him before, like I said, personally, it really made it easy to kind of work with him, and it was fun. I mean, there's a lot of pressure. You're a guest star. You do several episodes, and you watch the show. It's a huge success. You want to do the best you can, and you walk on. You're like, okay, well, I'm going to get probably 2 shots of this, so I better make it happen. And he was really supportive. Everybody was. The director, I asked him several questions, and he actually was great about what he was looking for, and it worked. It worked great. I was just happy that I got to do a couple of episodes on the show because it's iconic. I mean, everybody refers to it in a change in television, and being a part of that at all to me I'm very gracious and very thankful that I got the opportunity.
Zara Brown says that scene was intense, man. So there you go.
Definitely it was. It was written really well. So it was easy to do.
This Nancy's Choice episode, when they tell you about this abortion storyline, what are you feeling about this, Emma?
I don't remember what I thought about it, but I definitely had thoughts when I watched it again. I was like, which of course I don't have my notes with me now, professional.
That's okay.
But I thought like how apologetic she was, how interesting, like what a choice, like, and not, and let me get this straight, because this is, we're like touching on a subject that would make just in real time people mental. So I have no interest in weighing in on
abortion
in terms of everyone's personal opinion about it, but like there's definitely like that was a very specific choice for a decision for that character to write the character in that way of do you think differently of me now, like to Susan to I want to call him Jay, but he's Brandon, Susan, Brandon, like basically like, are you judging me, do you think differently of me? The emotions that were coming back on her in the moment, which I figured at that point had been a couple of years prior. I want to say, like, just the timeline, it probably would have been like a good 2 years since it had passed. So it was like, oh, she's very emotional about it. She's, and I was like, oh, that's really interesting. Like, I don't remember thinking about these things. I'm sure I did at the time, but I'm like, was Susan actually like against abortion and had one? Is she must be pro-choice because she's a feminist, but does she pro-choice but like against abortion personally? Does she have it against her will? Like, what the fuck? Because she's still very emotional about the decision. It was not and the way that the show treated it was that there are very real like emotions that will back up on you from making the decision, whether you want it or not. It's going to be something that you will take with you. And I thought that's so different from how I've seen it even in the last like handful of years on any different kind of show. It's kind of like, well, yeah, I've had like 3 abortions. How about you? Like, it's sort of like no big deal. Like, everybody does it.
Right. Yeah.
Is that just from like how the topic is treated from then to now, it felt like there was much more reverence for yes, it's absolutely your choice, but it's a big choice. And so are you emotionally, like, do you have someone to talk to? Like, what do you think versus now just like, well, whatever, like, let's count, let's compare. Like, you're like, what kind of food you like to eat? Like, oh, I've had 2 abortions. How many have you had? Oh my God.
Yeah.
Like, or Lena Dunham going, I wish I had an abortion. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
You had one. Have you? Like, I feel like, do you know what I mean?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
So it was really the speech that you give when you accept the award said it all for me in a very, very lean way. When you said that that whether you're pro-choice or not, it takes courage.
Yes.
Personal courage. And it was a beautiful line, and you delivered it well, and and it was quite clear. It was a very bold move on our part to have a main character have an abortion. Kelly's mother early on, I think there's a story where in the past, Jackie had an abortion. But this was at a time in the television land where you weren't allowed to do this. Somebody gets pregnant, they have a miscarriage maybe.
Right.
But that's Andrea could have had an abortion.
Right.
And but the fact that your character did was very, very bold and brave. And it was that was a decision that had to be proved. And we had the Jonathan character to balance as a pro-life character, but then he's given such humanity when you realize that it was his child. So it's like, whoa, it was a very rich story.
Yeah.
I think
it was directed by James Whitmore, that episode too. So it really had, a nice, loving touch.
James.
What are you going to say, Emma?
I think because it's hard to, well, what was I thinking? I had like 10 thoughts running through my head. Okay. Going back in that time, this was like what, 96?
96.
Yeah, definitely. Your landscape wasn't really diving into anything like that at all. And I remember
around 8 o'clock
watching 90210 when so like Brenda and Dylan are, prom, it's like, oh my God, she had sex. And like, I remember just in the media, like it was like such a big deal. Like she's not married, and it was like, oh my God, to then, dealing with sex. You guys really did a wonderful job tackling things that really weren't talked about, whether it's, the very real time of kids 16 having sex at prom, because it happens, whether you think it doesn't or not, it does. So, the stalking, the rape, the choice to have a baby, the choice not to have a baby, everything was handled, I think, really responsibly and really well. And like you were saying for Jonathan, you could demonize the pro-life, the male pro-lifer, but then that humanity of like, yeah, but it was my baby. Like, I don't get a say. Men don't get a say.
And he wanted to marry you. He wanted to marry you too.
But this was something that was really important to him, and like how sad that is. I mean, I wouldn't. Again, we're getting like political about abortion, but personally, it's like it's still my choice. But like, I'm not. I personally, and then watching that, like, can really empathize with that. Like, I can see that point of view for the boyfriend, the husband, whatever. Like, I can't do anything about this. Like, you're going to do what you want to do. It's your choice to do it. But this really sucks for me because I really want to be a dad, or I really wanted to be dad with your kid. Like, and that's just, it's a lot. Like, kudos to you guys for like showing it in a very multidimensional way. And,
Hey, Carl, what was your take on all of this?
It was really edgy. I mean, when I read it and I saw what was happening with the character, I was like, "Whoa, this is a lot. There's a lot going on here. There's a lot of point of views, and to think about the concept of being in love with somebody and this being something that actually happens, it's tough. It's tough to think about. You put yourself in that position, and you're in love with someone, and you want this, and even though it's not your choice, it's still really challenging. And that's what made the scenes for me so full, because you can really hold on to that. It's a real thing. It's putting yourself in that situation that's a real tough spot.
Yeah.
And I do know some people that have been in that spot. I haven't been in that spot, but it's got to be really difficult. And the writing made it real, and you got drawn into it. And seeing it again, you realize what a big deal it was to be doing it in 1996. I mean, it's like, whoa, like, wait a minute.
He added the
I watched
vodka thing, which is interesting. I thought, that they were drunk that's why Brandon says, why didn't you have protection? You're a feminist,
Right,
so you're protecting yourself.
Right.
Well, we both were drunk, so it seemed totally plausible. I was glad we did that. We put that in there and kind of covered ourselves.
That does, a lot of things do happen when we've had too much to drink that we may not remember, of course. And the characters did that. Yeah, it was a heavy scene. It was great. It was great to be a part of it.
I told you earlier, Emma, I think that you are unbelievable in this episode. I mean, your performance is absolutely incredible. You told me you didn't think so.
Oh no!
No, like, God, why are you wanting to cry? I was like dissecting. I'm like, did you really need to kind of cry? Couldn't you have been stronger about it?
I like to cry.
Like,
just a little redness.
But then I'm like, honestly, every single time I think I had to do anything, it was kind of like the first time I had to do anything like that, because I hadn't worked at all, really. I hadn't done much at all. So I'm like, what emotion am I accessing? What the fuck? I've never had an abortion. What do I do? Am I doing this right? Like, whatever. And like, I do have specific memories that actually, and I even watched it and I was like, see, girl, you didn't even get the word right. I did. I actually said, no, that's not true. I said it correctly, but it was like awkward. I could not say pseudonym to save my life. And I remember vividly going, like, I couldn't get it. I'm like, Susan. And I was like, all I could do just to get through that bit. And I was like, I just stopped acting. I was just like, just say pseudonym. No big deal. But like, even though I didn't use a pseudonym, like, even in the character, she like says it weird. And I was like, oh God, it took me all out of it. I'm like, all I can see now is acting.
Think about.
Just don't get fired. You know what I mean?
No, I mean, you got yourself to a really special place in that episode. We talked about it a few weeks, I don't know, a couple months ago, right, Larry? That episode, and everybody
doing the cocaine story, I think.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Huh? What?
Everybody's saying there was another plot in there with Kelly and cocaine. We were dealing with that, I think.
And then, obviously, and Melanie, I'm going to get to you. She's got some really cool fan questions that she's going to ask. But then, obviously, we talked a little bit about this before, but in the birthday episodes, you get to do a couple of things. You see the Goo Goo Dolls, you go to the Queen Mary, right? There's some fun things happening, but then your character is also leaving. Was that tough for you to leave?
It was really hard. I knew I didn't want to, I just did not want to break up. I was just I was sad. I don't want to break up. I don't want to not work with Jay anymore. I don't want to break up. I just loved that. I just was very happy with what I was doing, and having not done, I haven't been an actor for very long. It's oh, good, you have a regular job. I was there was a lot of it. It was so personal to me. It's weird because I think maybe I've only had one other job where I was really invested in that specific time, or the specific dynamic between the actor, where I just really was just so content with it all that I didn't have any interest in what's next. I was not about that. I was very happy in that world.
What about your last scenes with Jason? There's some stills.
They're so sucky. I remember just being so sad. And I remember I wrote him a letter that actually, I don't think on the ship was our last scene. I think we shot that, but I don't think that was the very last thing that we shot. Maybe it was, but it couldn't have been, because my very last scene with him was on set. And that was obviously at the Queen Mary.
Yeah. Well, that's I think the last scene that airs, but the last time you shot with him was probably something different. It's not in the order of
something different. It was horrible. It was I feel like we're breaking up. This is sad. I'm not going to see you every day. I'm not going to have these great conversations with you. I'm not going to, someone that I had admired before, that I really grew to know as a human being. But I was I'm just so about you. You're just so great. And I was sad. And I wrote him this letter. And I just you're the, just thank you. It was just an endless amount of thank yous. Thank you for being an ally, a friend, someone I could confide in, someone I could laugh with, someone who could take me under his wing from the girl. And of course, I do remember you took the job. I remember getting into my face, not our last scene, but the breakup scene, whatever. And I was just I just have very vivid memories of that being tough.
I've heard a thing about this. I thought about this a second.
Hard. What?
I was going to say, I've rationalized why she took the job. So she totally screws Jason, who gives up a job, I think, in Boston so they could have their summer together. But in her mind, she knows he's got this thing for Kelly, and there's no real long game with Jason, and that's why she takes the job.
Brandon,
so but also because she's more ambitious than him, and he learned something about ambition in this thing. He found someone who was more ambitious and more cutthroat, and what it takes to succeed in the real world as adults.
Uh-oh, Jessica Klein's got the finger up, so that means there's going to be a point made.
I wouldn't have guessed this, and had I not watched all these episodes together at one time. But the girl who chose to have an abortion because it was the wrong time in her life is the girl who was able to leave Brandon because the job came along and it was a once in a lifetime opportunity. She is someone who's able to compartmentalize and who's able to make choices that somewhere in her she knows are right for her in the long game. And it's somebody with ambition. He should have seen that coming. When you say to him, do you feel differently about me, knowing that I've had, knowing what's happened, you, I think, subconsciously are saying to him, you should be thinking differently about me. Because, look, we're writing into this all. I'm saying I would never be thinking this if I hadn't seen them all together, but he should be thinking differently, because this was somebody, A, who loved somebody else, and B, who didn't love him enough that she didn't marry him and have his baby. She made a choice that was right for her, and he could have seen that coming.
Yeah,
but he gave up the job.
He would have had Brandon's baby.
Drop that, Mike.
Yeah,
Thank you, Aisha.
Aisha.
I'm back. I think at the right time she'd been like, "Yes, thank you." Be my
In the same way that
your baby, it's going to be awesome.
In the same way that Andrea Zuckerman comes back in this episode, and it's a really nice bookend, and says, "Oh, and by the way, I'm going to medical school."
Yeah.
And she's at Yale, and she's going to medical school. So the girl who made the choice to have the baby is also going to have a happy ending. That is a pro-feminist choice as well. So we, as feminists, the male and female members of our staff, because we all were, we really covered it all. But it was fascinating to see, and you delivered the multi-layered elements of the character beautifully.
Well,
Aisha took us through the whole season.
Aisha says, off the mic.
You have to be pro-feminist to not want to be with the wrong guy. I mean,
No, but I think
he had the baby with him because he wasn't the right guy.
Well, that's
Wait
true.
a
I mean, there are
minute,
lots of reasons people don't. I'm just saying you may have made the choice, or the character may have made this choice for non-feminist reasons. But I'm saying I was a feminist. I am a feminist.
Yes.
And for me, having grown up 100 million years ago, I grew up in a time where a feminist. So
yeah,
we're in a post-feminist time today, but deep in it then.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm going to throw to Melanie. I'm sure you got a ton of great fan questions and people want to jump in here, but this is fascinating. I could listen to this all day. But go ahead. So what do you got from the fans? And throw down. Go ahead.
Okay, well, first we've covered a lot, so that's good. We've answered a lot of fan questions, but I think the number one question, and this one comes to us from Connie Lena. If you were Susan, would you have taken the job?
Wow.
I mean, Brandon did turn down the opportunity in Boston to spend the summer, with your kids.
Yeah.
All right, let's.
I think my initial problem with her taking the job was because he didn't take the job. Like that always rubbed me the wrong way. I'm like, but
he should have taken it too.
Like you're like, that's just, I felt like, well, you're gross. Like, I felt like they had established this very equal, honest, like cool thing. And she's like, don't take the job. What about me? And then she's like, sorry, and I was kind of like, wait a minute.
It's not college anymore.
In retrospect, if we had been able to rewrite it, it might have been easier to swallow if she had said, I'm turning it down. And then he had come back and said, you really have to take this job. It's a once in a lifetime opportunity. And then made her go. That was the love story.
Then we couldn't get to Kelly though. We needed to have him be on the rebound.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah, we were serving the show there. Sorry.
Yeah.
What else you got, Melanie?
A lot of the fans would like to know your favorite and least favorite scenes that you filmed with Jason.
Oh my God, all of them are my favorite.
Your favorite, maybe? I don't know.
Is which one? Well, anytime I got to make out with him was obviously my favorite.
I love that. Was there a moment maybe that you felt really connected with the two characters?
Hopefully giving birth to the baby when you deliver.
Yeah, that was really fun. But again, talk about first for actors. Like watching this, I get so heady. I was looking at that and going, I remember that. That's the first time I had to yell a line and I felt so lame. That's all I could think of doing. Like the entire time I was watching that, I was just like, that's right. You had never had to yell a line before. And I was like, and I remember being in that elevator going, oh my God, all I could do was hear myself. I'm like, you sound awful. Like no one yells like that. Is that how you yell? Like I was just, I don't even know. I just don't even know how I sold anything, honestly. I was just like feeling like I was making instinctual choices. That's all I was doing. I don't think I had prepped. And Jason and I were just close, so I could react in this real time kind of vibe with him. Obviously then from where she and I would verge drastically off, but like, we had so much fun in the elevator. Like we just always had so much fun. I don't know. Every day was a pure joy working with him. So and again, working with him again, however many years later that was.
I Want to Marry Ryan Banks. Is that the movie? Yeah.
With Bradley Cooper. So I was like with both them. And yeah, that was a real sad job. Like, oh, I have to kiss both of you? Like, that's just like, poor me.
A good question came in for Carl from Sherry Weiss, our good friend of the show. She wants to know, what were the flying scenes like with the biplanes? That was another episode that we did not cover on this.
Yeah, they were cool. I mean, it was exciting. It was a lot of fun. I mean, it's one of those things where you're working, and sometimes you get so caught up in getting the work done, you can't really take all of it in. It's not like you're on vacation where you can see things and experience things. So with the work and wanting to do well and being focused, a lot of times it doesn't, you don't get to experience it as much. A lot of people say, well, you went, you shot here, you shot there. And you're like, well, all I remember is the scenes, like this interaction. Emma talks about it, like, what am I doing in this scene? How's the scene going? Did I blow the scene? Am I going to be fired? I mean, well, every actor's thinking that. Was that scene so bad that they're done with me? That kind of thing. So in that respect, sometimes you get so laser focused on the work, you forget about the surroundings. So I do remember some of it. It was fun and exciting. At the same time, you're trying to be a professional actor, do the best job you can, and stay on the show. That's usually what happens. Well, for me.
Yeah. Melanie, what else you got? A couple more.
After the Nancy's Choice episode, did you find fans or people in real life coming up to you with their own stories, or did you get any type of outpouring from people after that show aired?
I wish I could say I remember any of that. I know that time, like, you get like bags of fan mail. So, this was like, there was no social media. I feel like.
Were you recognized a lot when you were just out? Did fans come up to you often and say, why did you do the job?
Yeah, no one was happy with me about that. You're like, like, how dare you? How dare you hurt Brandon? I'm like, I know, okay? I didn't want to do it. Trust me. I wanted the cake and eat it too. But actually, I was thinking about the question or a couple of questions ago. Would I have done that? And I have been in the position where I made definitely a decision not to take the job. And I just didn't take the job. I chose a bad relationship over taking the job, and whatever that means, and like pushing myself further ahead, for sure, more times than I'm even proud of. And then I vivid memories of making a conscious decision to not ever do that again. Like not work with a partner, an equal partner, like if you're in a relationship, but like you should, like, to the point where it's like, you shouldn't even be asking me to step back. Like if you can really like go around and like, if you really were about me and supporting me, you would have been supporting me. Like you know what I mean?
Right.
Which is not to say like, you're a woman, you can do anything the fuck you want whenever you want. Well, you can. So can a guy. Except you probably shouldn't be in a place where you're supposed to be making compromises. Like, you sure don't want to be compromising yourself. And I compromised myself multiple times. So in that way, we at that point, especially at that point, I definitely hadn't taken the job.
Sarah Page Hall.
That's what I did.
Sarah Page Hall asks, she's a great friend of the show. She has a good question here. What was it like to do that brief scene with Gabrielle when she returned for the Queen Mary episode? And do you think Andrea and Susan would have been BFF? I just added BFF. Sorry.
I don't know. I don't know that they would have been BFFs. I feel like Susan was a good time. And not that Andrea wasn't. I just feel like Susan.
She had no girlfriends on the show, I have to say.
No, true. We didn't have any girlfriends. She didn't have any girlfriends, but I wasn't written with girl. I don't know. I mean,
it's awful.
It's just Susan and I got girlfriends.
Couldn't afford any friends. Well, then
you have to bring in all kinds of other ancillary characters.
No, I think it was true to the character though. She was devoted to her work and her relationships.
I would say she was very loyal. She was loyal to the story, loyal to
the paper.
Friend. She's loyal. She would have kept secrets. I feel like she was just a good human being. And I feel like when watching the scenes where I was with the girls, anytime like there's camping episodes, or whenever when we would branch out on couple dates or whatever, with Claire and with Kathleen and Tori, that was easier to do because we got along. They were cool. I would suppose that, and other times it would have been like, wow. This is like kind of uncomfortable. So I would be stepping outside of myself, looking at it as me going, wow, you seem like Susan's comfortable, but like you're not comfortable.
Well, Kelly had some jealousy.
Right.
Forget Jenny, but Kelly as a character would have been jealous, and Valerie is jealous of anybody. Right. But I think that had Andrea come back, that Susan and Andrea would have been competitive because they were similar. And I think Andrea would have found the character of Susan very hard to handle.
Hey, for the writers, Jessica has a good question here. Do the writers see a potential in a Susan, Brandon, Kelly love triangle had Emma stayed past season or into season 7? I guess is the question.
Well,
sure. Why not?
Sure. Why not? I mean, she had established herself, and we knew Brandon really had strong feelings for her. He really went out of his way to kind of declare his love for me. He's really hurt for her. So, yeah, I mean, we would have turned that around. And
we could have easily done it. Here's, let's say
she would have had a baby.
That Brandon and Kelly had gotten together, and then Susan had shown up.
Senior year.
That's how a triangle is born.
Yeah. She comes back.
We're going to talk about Wednesday, by the way. We're going to talk about the original triangle, and we're going to let some of the fans pop in. So that's going to be very exciting. People are going to pick Team Brenda and Team Kelly. It's going to be a lot of fun. So that's on Wednesday. What's that?
Are we talking Dylan?
Yeah,
Dylan, Brandon.
We're going down that road.
And Kelly. Yep.
Kelly, Brenda, Dylan. The first triangle.
Brenda.
Always Brenda. Yeah, interesting.
I feel pretty good on Team Brenda right now. I like my chances.
Yeah.
I'm on Team Brenda with you.
Oh, there you go. Hey,
Chuck is really feeling bad about being Team Kelly now. He's getting very sensitive.
He's really having some trouble with this.
He feels like he's already against it.
Yes.
We want a handicap.
Somebody asks here about Rebecca Gayheart. She's coming up on the podcast soon in September. What was it like working with her, Emma?
She was lovely. She was very nice. Mm-hmm. She was very sweet. She was so strikingly beautiful. It's like hurts your feelings almost. Like she's an alien. Like I was looking at her again. I'm like, and it doesn't even do it justice when you're actually face to face with her. Like she's just an alien. She's an alien, 100%.
Remarkably.
I can't wait to tell her.
And you're so nice. Like it's just she was very sweet.
I'm totally going to play the clip of you calling her an alien and see what she.
Oh, wait. Oh, you mean to her?
Yeah. No. Melanie, I'm going to let you get to a question, but we're going to play a quick clip here because, we have this this thing where we want to get Kathleen Robertson on the show. So here's a little video that we made, and we aired this a couple weeks ago. Here it is again.
Hey, Kathleen Robertson.
Guess who?
Yeah, you.
I'm out of here.
Claire Arnold.
Hi.
We want you to come on to the Beverly Hills 90210 show.
I'd rather jump overboard.
You're smart. Your eye rolls are epic. And your acting is incredible.
Thanks.
We want to dive deep with you on all things Claire Arnold. The hosts want you on.
My TV crush is Claire Arnold.
I don't know.
The writers want you on.
And it was registering on all cylinders.
Your co-stars want you on.
Kathleen was great, man. Kathleen's awesome. She's a Canadian.
The fans do too.
Kathleen, will you please go on Beverly Hills podcast?
Besides, I'm a Canadian. You're a Canadian.
Have you asked her?
So we're asking. Have your people chat with our people. Fans, don't give up.
Absolutely not.
So there we go. Let's hope that one day we will have Kathleen Robertson on this
I'm
show.
just going to say, Jason seems way more effusive about Kathleen than he does me.
Canadian.
A little bit, right? I caught that.
I mean, just like, okay, get a room.
Melanie, go for one more. I think we're almost wrapped up on this awesome episode. What you got?
One more, and this one's actually for the writers, from Melinda Berg. She was curious where they came up with Keats, if it was based on the poet John Keats, or if it was just kind of a random thing that came up in the writers' room.
Wow.
No, it was the John Keats. There was, it was just a, yeah, it was a reference.
There you go.
That sounds good.
Our literary bunch.
Well, I think we covered it. Larry, do you got anything else you want to add about Susan? Or excuse me.
It was just great to see a relationship where really Brandon really had to work his ass off to stay in it, and then in the end he gets burned so badly that it's a life learning lesson. I mean, he's going into the real world now, and it's not going to be college anymore. People are really, it's just bigger. I think it was interesting. I really liked the way it played, and Carl really brought a lot of authenticity to it.
Yeah.
Well, it's wonderful to see both of you. And Emma, you are as beautiful today. So thank you very much for being here with us. But you should know you look great. And Carl, you do too. So
Thank you.
You know what, Carl? When
25 years have treated you well.
I straight up thought you were James Marsters. I really did. Who's doing here?
Well, listen, guys, I'm all about gratitude.
Like James hair, like you literally, I don't have my glasses on, but I was like, you fully look like James right now.
Put your glasses on. You'd be like, nah, not it.
If you had a British accent, I'd be like, yep, you're James. Right there. Well, I mean, fake British, because he's not British. Whatever.
Got it. I get it. Cool.
Well, look, I'm all about gratitude these days. I just want to say a couple of things. Carl, thanks for popping in here, man. It was great
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Your performance in this series is unbelievable, man. I mean, what you brought to that character, what you were able to put in of the antagonistic thing, and then also just the sweetness that he has sort of in Nancy's Choice. I mean, the fans here, you should have seen when you popped in, they were nonstop with comments. So about what you did and on 90210, our fans love our characters. And Emma, you are incredible. Like, talking about what Jessica said, but you brought some like real raw honesty. I guess I'm learning that it was from a place of newness, maybe, or just instinctual, but it just goes to speak to the incredible talent that you are. And my God, when we said that you were coming on, everybody was like through the roof, and everybody loves you. I just want to ask you guys before we leave, where can people find you? What are you guys kind of doing now? Carl, what you got going on?
I'm directing and producing films now, which I'm excited about doing that for going on like 13 years. I'm directing a commercial for BMW, and I got a feature coming up when COVID finishes. So that'll be my 6th film. So I'm doing a lot of writing and producing and directing, acting a little bit, but mostly writing and producing and directing. CarlTEvans.com is my website. People can check out some of the movies I've done. So yeah, that'd be awesome. People are interested to see. Yeah.
Emma, you're amazing on Instagram. So can I tell people can follow you on Instagram? Yeah. Yeah.
I'm ridiculous. I don't really give a shit. Like, I'm gonna say what I feel like.
So funny. But what else?
I am working on something I am not allowed to talk about.
Well, thanks for coming, Emma.
And we and then things shut down, and we just got the green light to go again. So no pressure. And I just, it's like the whole process again. I was like, okay, go get COVID tested, get tested again, do this, show up here. You know, I've got to go like on Monday. I'm like, and only just found out like not even a week ago. Like, okay, starting back up. I'm like, oh, I gotta like dust it all off. Like I've been like lockdown teacher mom mode. Like, put on, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
My husband's stoked. He's like, God, you look really nice. I'm like, shut up.
Well, thanks, guys. Listen, Wednesday we're going to be talking about the triangle. There's going to be some teams, but we are going to talk about how the triangle came to be and some of all that stuff as well. So that's for Wednesday. Again, Emma, Carl, thank you so much. Melanie Rose, thanks for the great questions. And we will see you guys next time. All right, check you.
Nice to see everybody.
Happy Friday.